Welcome back to a show that really cares about you, cares about inspiring you, making your life better. A word, a phrase, something you're going to hear today you might think about for a day, a week, even a month, and it could be a life changer. Also, I want to give a big shout out to I had such a great dinner last night, the Bonefish Grill. I'm telling you, their appetizers, don't tell the owners this, just go there. Monday nights, $5 drinks.
Oh. Wow.
Monday nights, $5 drinks.
What night is it?
Monday night.
No, I mean, what night? Isn't it Monday right now? Darn.
No, it's Monday night. But you can go there tonight. Their appetizers are like $12. I mean, the appetizers are like a meal. Don't tell the owners I'm telling you this, but their food is fresh, and it's unbelievable. Bonefish Grill there. You know where Bonefish Grill is in the town center. So you're listening to a show called Job Talk1 on KHTS, Southern California, heard all over Southern California. And a dear friend, I have to make a disclaimer, I love this guy. I watch him on Facebook every morning. He does like 3 or 4 minutes, and he always has something that's so powerful to listen to. He wrote a book called The Self-Motivation Book. I read it yesterday. And this would be a great Christmas gift. I'm telling you, anybody, I know you ladies are going to get the book.
Yeah.
Our show is also brought to you by a company called Workway. You ever heard of Workway?
Yeah.
Nicest people.
Great company.
I've heard they're a great company.
Absolutely.
It's a new way to work because you go to work for them and they find you a job, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So Workway. Write it down. Call them. They're in Burbank, soon to be out in Santa Clarita. Workway, a better way to work. All right. Back to Jim Cathcart. I said before he went to break, loose ends. That is paragraph 80. What is loose ends, Jim Cathcart?
Well, let me tell you a story. I was in Hawaii one time to visit a friend of mine, the author Spencer Johnson. He wrote a book called Who Moved My Cheese, and another book called The One Minute Manager. He co-authored with Ken Blanchard.
Yep.
And I've known Spencer for a while. We used to have offices side by side in La Jolla. And so I went to Hawaii to visit him. I get off the plane, walk out to the curb to meet him, and he pats me on the tummy. This was years ago. And he says, "What's that about?" And I said, In other words, I had gained weight, and that's what he was commenting on. And I said, "You know what? I know exactly what that's about. Loose ends." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I've got so many things incomplete in my life right now that my eating and fitness discipline has kind of faltered. And if I'd get more closure on things and shorten the number of things on my plate, I'm absolutely positive I'd lose weight quickly without even focusing on it."
So
I need to read that chapter.
At least you're self-aware. At least you're self-aware.
So tie up your loose ends. I like that. Maybe the paragraph should be tied. Maybe I'll rewrite the book called Self-Motivation Handbook. Tie up your loose ends. I love that. I'm taking notes right now. Tie up your loose ends, and your life's going to improve dramatically. Jim Cathcart's
my chapter in the thinking room, Coach. Just put that as an extra chapter in the thinking room.
Thank you, pal. She plugged for my book. She plugged for my book.
I love it.
Yeah, so, I'm writing another book like you are about fear, but I'll have you back. We'll talk about a whole hour on fear. My wonderful co-hosts today, Susan Deneau and Andrea Moroso, and these ladies they're just beautiful inside and beautiful on the outside.
Aww.
And you guys run Workway, and I hope Workway comes out to Santa Clarita soon, because our community will love Workway, really. They will love the two of you, and they will love what Workway is doing. You guys are making a difference in the work world, because there's a new way to go to work. You go to work for Workway, they find you a better job, right?
That's right.
A better environment. And I can't say more money, but is there money in this deal?
We hope so.
Yeah.
Right. Certainly opportunities.
Is there?
To make more. Yes.
That's
All
our
right.
goal.
So I know, Susan, you're taking notes. Andrea's here on her. What are you doing? Texting people?
Typing notes.
You are typing notes?
I'm typing notes.
So
Let's read them back.
You had a question for Mr. Cathcart.
I do, as a matter of fact. And I just wanted to say, I actually, Spencer Johnson used to be one of my clients, so I know his La Jolla office. Great guy.
Wow.
Don't you like her voice? Doesn't Susan have a voice for radio, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got a nice voice.
That's cool. His office on Prospect?
Yes, absolutely. I lived in La Jolla.
La Jolla?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, 2 doors over. You know where the La Jolla Cove restaurant was?
I know exactly where it is. I probably walked right by it.
My office was right back behind that.
Awesome.
Oh.
Well, my question for you is, how can Workway utilize this book? What would be the best way as a company, right? A company like Workway, any company. How can we utilize your book to its biggest advantage?
Well, there's a company in Ventura that bought a custom edition of the book, and that's one of the things my publisher offers.
Oh, interesting.
Where they have their own company logo on the outside of the book, and on page 1 is a letter from them with a picture of the head of their company. And they're using the book as a handout to give to their employees. And there's a letter in there that says, we care about you as a person and want your life to be better, not just your work life.
Wow.
So here's the book we think you'll enjoy.
Yeah,
and they're also giving it out to prospective customers. Now, with Workway or someone in that field, I would find it to be even more directly suited, because the one thing an employer wants least is someone else to manage.
Right.
What every employer wants is someone who's going to come to work, figure out what the job is, and then do it without being reminded all the time.
Right. There's nothing
and
worse.
constantly get better at it as well.
Right.
Amen.
I used to tell my employees when they came aboard, folks, here's your job. Your job is to be worth more to this company every day you're here, whether I do anything for you or not. They said, well, wait, what do you mean? I said, well, look, I'm going to give you a great workspace. I'm going to give you a good work culture. I'm going to support and encourage you. I'm going to provide training for you, and I'll give you all the office supplies that you need, the computer and phone and everything else. But beyond that, I still expect you to be growing as a person and learning new things on your own, and to be worth more to this company every year, so that we can all grow together. And if you ever ask me for a raise, you're probably not going to get it, because first you need to be giving the company and the customer a raise through your performance. Then you can get a raise in your paycheck.
I love it.
Well said.
Yes.
I love it too. The Self-Motivation Handbook, I might have to buy a few copies. I mean, I can't, Jim, I just love talking to Jim Cathcart on the show we call Job Talk1, sponsored by Workway. Write their name down. They're going to come to Santa Clarita. They're in Burbank right now. If you're an employer, listen to the show. You don't have time to interview people. Look, it is a big job, just the interview process.
Absolutely.
And next week when you guys come back, I'm going to talk about the worthlessness of resumes, which I know you guys disagree with me on. But I'm an old-fashioned guy. I like to look in the eye, and I want to hear what you have to say. I want to see what your eye contact is. I want to see how you sit. That goes back to what we're talking about, body smarts. Okay, we're talking about the different paragraphs. So the way this book is written is you can open up any page, go to 3 or 4 paragraphs. So what Jim has done is, for guys like me who actually I read 5 or 6 books, but I didn't start reading until I was in my late 30s. Do you realize?
Wow.
I don't know how I got through college. I honestly don't know how I got through college, but I didn't read my first book cover to cover until I was probably 37 years old. Now I read 5 books.
Now you're addicted.
I've got over 1,000 books in my office, and over 1,000 books. I read at least 2 to 5 chapters, and some of them cover to cover. Anyway, that's...
Well, and I wanted to mention, that's really great, because I just heard on the news about a week ago that people who read live twice as long.
Well, look
Supposedly
at me.
they did
how long?
I know, you may live forever.
Jim and I are the same age. Now, he looks a
better
little better.
still.
He looks a little better than I do.
You're never going to have to worry about going to the pearly gates. You're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love that. We both look pretty good at our age. All right, so the book is called the Self-Motivation Handbook. Jim is having a big thing tonight. There's refreshments. Get off. It's in Agora. If you want to go meet Jim Cathcart, if you want to take about a 30...
Actually in
Westlake Village.
on Agora Road.
I'm doing the talking here, Jim. So it's in Westlake, not Agora?
Westlake.
It's in Westlake on Agora Road.
Westlake Village on Agora Road, which were...
You were close.
Well, I grew up there. He knows that. I grew up there. Okay, so I love the book, but 231, paragraph 231, then we'll get to my favorite paragraph in a minute. But hope is found in you. Talk about hope, because our country right now, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today, besides promoting your book, and I know it's a selfish thing that I'm doing, but ladies and gentlemen, this is a book that can change your life. Books have changed my life. I grew up with no father as a foster kid. Yes, I was a good athlete, and coaches saved my life. But after I left school, I didn't have coaches. I didn't have anybody in my life but books. Books made my life, ladies.
Wow.
They made my life.
That's very cool.
And when you read Jim's book, this book, specifically the Self-Motivation Handbook, there's something in here for everybody. Everybody can take something away from this book, and it will, I promise you, and I don't say this lightly, it'll change your life. So in 231 paragraph, that meant a lot to me about hope, because through reading, I was inspired, and I always thought there was going to be a better day ahead. I had hope. I really did.
Hope is really important.
Well, hope is misunderstood in our society. There's two types of hope. There's kind of negative hope. It's like, oh, I hope we don't run into bad traffic. Oh, man, I hope I don't get sick. Oh, I hope I don't break a bone. I hope we don't get lost. I hope, that's not hope. That's begging. That's just saying, please save me from myself because my life stinks and I'm going to make it worse. That kind of hope is desperate. But then there's the, hey, I found an opening. There's hope. That's like the miners trapped in the mine and they saw a light up above. All of a sudden there's hope.
It's like inspirational.
That kind of hope is way different.
Right. And whether it's mental
Kind of
movement,
like prayer.
right.
You think about prayer. The majority of people, if they pray at all, they pray as begging. Oh, please give me what I want, or please take away what I don't want, or please make it easier, or whatever. It's begging. But in the Bible it says, whatsoever you ask in prayer, believing,
Right.
you shall receive. Well, whether you're religious or not doesn't matter. Think of prayer as something that everybody does in one form or another, to one source or another. But prayer ought to be gratitude in advance.
I absolutely agree with you. That is what prayer is. That's the epitome of prayer.
It is. I'm here with Susan Deneau and Andrea Moroso, who has a question.
I have a question that's kind of off, a little
You have a
off
cute
the
little voice,
chart.
too. Both of you have cute little voices.
So I have a question, Jim, because when I was in high school, I was terrified to speak. I went in my speech class, my teacher used to send me in the hall with a paper bag because I would hyperventilate before every speech. And then he'd wave me in and I'd throw the bag down and I'd be on and then I would be okay. So as I've grown older, now I speak in front of hundreds of people and have spoken in front of an audience as much as 2,000, 3,000 people. But how did you get over that? Did you ever have that fear? And if you did, because you're a motivational speaker, you do this all over the world, you do everywhere. It's what you do.
So just over 3,000 speeches. And I'm as comfortable in front of a group as I am sitting alone. But
were you always?
No, only if there's a reason for me to be in front of that group. So when I first started speaking, I had the confidence to stand up and say something, but not the wisdom to say the right thing. And so I would frequently embarrass myself or do something stupid, and it should have been embarrassed, but didn't have the wisdom to realize it, So I didn't have the fear that you were experiencing, but I had some awful experiences because I spoke anyway when I should have kept my mouth shut, or I should have been more careful about what I was saying, or more thoughtful about the audience. When I'm coaching speakers, I tell them, look, first off, the thing that matters here is not you, and it's not the audience, and it's not the message. And they say, well, whoa,
what is it?
The only thing that matters in a speech is what the listener can do with the message.
Oh, right.
What the
they hear.
Listener can do with the message.
And every listener hears something different, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But what you need to do as a speaker to get rid of anxiety is to focus on them and ask yourself constantly, how could what I'm saying have value to them? How could they use this? How could someone in school use this? How could someone seeking a job use this? How could someone who's running an organization use this? How could someone use this in a motivational moment in halftime at a football game or whatever it happens to be? Think in terms of how your audience can use your message. Your message will evolve to a higher level.
Right, and that's Coach's goal here. That's your inspiration for this whole show,
it really
right?
is. I've been blessed like Jim has in my life. We've each had 100 jobs. I got to have you back because the show is called Job Talk 1, but not today. Today we're celebrating you, Jim Cathcart. We're celebrating your book, The Motivational Handbook. But, for those of you that are out there that are struggling in your job, it's okay to quit. It's okay to quit. If you've got a lousy boss, like I said last week, if you're disgusted with your boss, get out. Look, get out and call Workway.
I read an interesting report, Ron. The report said people don't leave jobs, they leave
their bosses.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Isn't that the truth?
That is the truth.
Yeah, but call
100%.
Workway. They've got a whole bunch of jobs down the valley. They're soon going to be out here in Santa Clarita. I know them personally. They're a great company. Susan Deneau, Andrea Moroso, they're right here with me. Hopefully they'll come back next week. Jim Cathcart is our very special guest. We're going to come back here and finish up with Jim and talk about my favorite subject. It's a subject that I have written in my book about. It's a subject that I talk about on Facebook quite often. And ladies and gentlemen, in Jim's book, the Self-Motivational Handbook, a 266 paragraph, and I don't want to give this paragraph away. I want you to come back. I know this is a little tease, but this is one...
You're such a tease,
No,
Coach.
I am a little bit of a tease.
I know, you are.
But this, Susan Deneau,
yes.
And I just love your voice on radio. You know what
Thank
I do? I would quit whatever you're doing and
come here
and be my co-hostess. And this particular paragraph is a life changer. When I understood what Jim said in his book, and I picked this word up about 30 years ago, and every single day of my life for the last 30 years, I pray to God, I thank God, but I use this word in my relationships with people. I use this word in my relationships with my family. I use this word in relationships with myself. I remind myself, sometimes, Susan and Andrea, I get down a little bit, and the coach knows this.
We all do.
Yeah.
Yep,
so I
normal.
go back to this word. I'm not going to give it away. You're going to have to come back. I go back to paragraph 266 in the book called the Self-Motivational Handbook. And when we get back, we're just going to take a tiny break. Don't go anywhere. And as I said earlier...
Can we guess when we're off the air?
Yeah, you can guess. Okay. But as I said earlier, if you're disgusted with your boss, quit today. Literally quit today.
Call us up.
And call Workway. Be right back on the show we call Job Talk 1. It's being produced by one of the most handsome guys.
Handsome.
Isn't he handsome?
Yes, he is. Woo!
Yeah, can't give you his name because...
Ladies, walk by the window.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. Job Talk 1 here on KHTS. Maybe one of the... I'm not saying this because I'm on the radio, but it's because I've been on over 200 radio stations. Wow. KHTS is a loving station. They love their community. The owners do so much for Santa Clarita Valley. Our show is heard from Palmdale to Ventura County, San Fernando Valley, KHTS. Download the app. It's one of the best, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the best apps in radio. The best part of KHTS is they have all kinds of traffic alerts. Every night I get I don't need the newspaper anymore because every night at 5 o'clock I get the news brief through KHTS. Contact KHTS. They'll take a great care of you. So with me in the studio is Susan Deneau and Andrea Moroso, and our show is sponsored. Yeah, say hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, can you guys sing?
La la la.
That would be scary.
Well, I like your voices together.
Maybe we can do that in the next show.
I like your voices together. Our show brought to you by Workway, a better way to work. Call them, and if you are disgusted with your boss, as I said, there's no harm in quitting. Trust me, there's no harm in finding a better career, a better job. Workway, I promise you, will help you do that. All right, back to my very special guest. He'll be on many, many times, especially when we go to daily, when we're on Monday through Friday. He'll be a big part of the show. He's part of the cast. His name is Jim Cathcart, and today is a very special day. He gave birth to his new book. This is his 17th book, ladies and gentlemen. It's called The Self-Motivation Handbook. We're going to end the show by talking about my favorite chapter in the book. It happened to be the last chapter. Actually, they're not chapters. They're easy to read paragraphs. And it's paragraph
Yeah, they're
2.
1 minute long.
The 1 minute message. I love it.
266. So
Keep everybody's attention.
what is the word I said? Because you don't know.
Chocolate.
You're very close. It does start with a G. And it's
I knew it. I knew I was right.
the word is gratitude. So Jim Cathcart, talk about, you have 2 minutes, then I got to say goodbye because you got to go down the road. You got 2 minutes. Talk about 266.
The most magnetic of all emotions is gratitude, because gratitude draws to you more of what you're grateful for.
Oh,
Think about it. If you walked into a room full of strangers and you just went around observing what they were good at, how many of them would like you immediately? Every one of them.
That's right.
Just go into a room of strangers and just say, you really make people feel welcome here. Thank you for that big smile when I came in the door. Hey, sir, I saw you picking up that trash a while ago that somebody else threw down. Thank you for doing that. Hey, excuse me, but I noticed over the last few minutes you've been networking this room, but not for yourself. You've been introducing people to each other and just getting everything going. Good for you. Do those sort of things and just start becoming grateful for everything in your life. I'm grateful that I'm able to sit upright and not fall over. I'm grateful that the air is breathable here. I'm grateful that I'm able to live in a home of my own instead of having to go into somebody else's place and live. I'm grateful for the opportunity to get on the air and talk to free people in a free society where they have the ability to make their own decisions to change their life for the better.
Amen.
The more grateful you are, the more people want to be around you. And I've got one big one to tell you. Can I have a minute, Coach, to
30 seconds. You got 30 seconds, otherwise the computer cuts you off. 30 seconds, Jim Cathcart. The book is called Self-Motivation Handbook. End our show. You ended on Job Talk 1. Go ahead, 25 seconds.
1972, I was struggling, didn't know what I wanted to do for a living. I went to Bill Webster, head of the trust department at a bank in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I said, would you please consider me for the next trainee position you have in the trust department? He said, well, I don't have any openings, but here's a book on trust. Go read that and come back to me after you've read it. 2 days later, I came back with a notebook full of notes, and he said, oh, my gosh, you've actually read it. Yes, sir. He said, here's another book. Well, 3 days after that, I had read that one and consumed it and made all my notes. I came back, and he said, look, I don't have an opening yet, but I'm definitely going to have a place for you when I do have an opening. Now, fast forward 40 years. I became a professional speaker, went a completely different direction from trust work, and had a very, very successful career. Called Little Rock, Arkansas one day and said, could you give me a listing for Bill Webster? They said, well, we've got one out on that. Is that him? I don't know. So I called it, and I said, may I speak to Bill Webster? This is he. Mr. Webster, do you remember? And I told him about that time years ago when he believed in me. I didn't yet believe in myself very much. And he said, yeah, I think I remember that. I said, well, you made a difference in my life. And then I told him about all my achievements, and I thanked him. He said, Jim, you couldn't know how important this is. I had a stroke recently, and today is the first day of my therapy to recover from the stroke, and I was really depressed and really feeling bad about it, and you have absolutely shown a light into my life today.
Jimmy, I got to go. Thank you.
That's
Jim
awesome.
Cathcart.
Nice
God
to
bless
talk to
you.
you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Bye.
Bye,
Good luck
thanks.
tonight.
Thank you.